So I'm kind of an idiot. Let me explain why. There's this assignment for a class that I'm in where a longer lens than I have would really come in handy. I switched to Canon recently and I bought the 100mm macro and a 50-1.8 and the 16-35. But I didn't have anything beyond 100mm, and for this assignment, I really wanted to be able to reach out and capture things from far away. So this assignment kind of gave me the excuse to look and do some research on some longer lenses through Canon. So I first discovered the 75-300 f4-5.6. It's a pretty cheap lens with relatively mixed reviews, but it looked like a pretty easy way to get the focal length I was looking for. No image stabilization, but I'm sure I can make it work. Then I discovered another option that would be quite a few steps ahead of the other one. The 70-300 f4-5.6. It's essentially the same lens when it comes to focal length and f-stop, but significantly sharper images allegedly, and it has image stabilization and a little digital display. So you can generally find the 75-300 at about $200 new, and then the 70-300 is about $600, give or take. I'm a big fan of the used market, so I decided to check eBay. I found a pretty good deal on the 75-300 and I decided to place a bid. I also found an option for the 70-300 and I kind of threw in a lowball offer. Well, I ended up winning the auction and my lowball offer was accepted. So I'm an idiot and now I own both of these lenses. I think it's a good idea for me to compare these two lenses because if I was curious on what the difference is, why is this one, $400 more expensive than this one? Is it worth it? Is it really worth spending an extra $400 on image stabilization? This beautiful little screen that maybe nobody ever uses? Maybe save the money and go for this one. So yeah, I took both of these lenses to the 2022 Purdue Grand Prix and I compared them. I got some pretty cool footage with my GoPro on top of my camera mounted. Also, one of my friends is dating one of the drivers, so I had kind of an in, and I was able to get an interview and a portrait shoot with one of the drivers, so that was awesome. Now, I'm not exactly a sports photographer, but I do enjoy photography in all its forms, and occasionally I like to test things and stuff. I did have a lot of fun at this race, and I think I put these two lenses to the test. Let's take a look. Nice and majestic. I like it. That looks pretty good. You mind if I get a little closer? Okay. So I had a lot of fun at that event. It was pretty fantastic, and I got a lot more footage, and I just didn't throw it in there because I wanted to keep that segment just a little bit concise, of course. That was pretty much one of my first tries at sports-style photography, but I think it was a lot of fun, especially because I was testing two lenses. I really enjoyed playing around with a slightly slower shutter speed. I at first thought it was going to be a whole lot slower than it needed to be, but it ended up being about 1/60th of a second. That's the sweet spot. So some general observations. The 75-300 surprised me. This lens isn't nearly as fast as this one when it comes to actual focusing speed, but it's pretty good. If it focused just a little bit faster, there were probably some extra shots that I would have gotten nice and tack sharp, or if I were using this lens, I probably would have gotten a couple more of the images better focused. This is when he was celebrating. I think his friend did a good job or won in the race, so he was kind of celebrating for a second, and so I kind of turned my lens on him, and I got some pretty cool non-posed images, and I really liked the way they turned out. Some of these are edited, some of them aren't, But in general, the lens kind of missed focus. It was a snap, quick photo, so it definitely it wasn't perfect. But it doesn't matter. These are awesome images. And I mean, is it perfectly snap sharp? Absolutely not. Would the other lens have gotten it? Maybe. It didn't focus nearly as quickly as it needed to, but it was good enough, and I got some pretty cool looking shots, I think. You can get some pretty good images out of this. Just be patient with it. It's not going to focus really, really fast, but it's not slow, at least in my experience. Now, the sharpness is kind of a question mark, because sometimes it seems like it's significantly less sharp than the 70-300. But other times it's pretty much the same. So if we take a look at these two images of Jake right here, and we zoom into the beard area, you'll notice a significant sharpness difference. On the right, 70-300, left, 75-300. There's definitely a difference. But if I do the exact same thing with a different image, like let's say this one right here, replace that 75, go back in, there's not that big of a difference. So I'm confused. This is actually very, very similar in actual sharpness. It's definitely very similar. If you get focus right, it'll look fantastic. Now, yeah, obviously the 70-300's image stabilization is better. That's handy. You can keep your shutter speed lower and you can get better images overall. Oh, I almost forgot. I did discover something kind of weird about the 70-300. When it's at 300 millimeters, at least in my experience, I've seen some weird background blur, some weird bokeh, and it's concerning because this is not the way it should look. It's kind of this weird, I don't know how to describe it, but you can see it. It's like this weird fringing around edges, and it's horrible. I don't know. I really don't know what to think about that, and it's going to get tested more. It didn't happen all the time, but it was something I noticed in certain images. Okay, so I'm at my balcony, I guess, in my apartment. So let's do a little bit of a focusing comparison. See what kind of focusing speeds we have. Right now I've got the 75-300 on here. I've got it in basically like intelligent focus, but it's in aperture priority. So if I focus down here, it's picking things up pretty quick. Trees, it's not fast, but it's not slow. Back up here, not bad. Now I threw it in single point autofocus to the tree and to here. To the tree, up here. You can tell it's not fast, and it's loud. So I switched to the big ol' 70-300. So center point autofocus, you'll notice, yeah, it's much quicker. My cat's here to help. Let's go up here. Yeah, it's so much more silent. And it's very, very fast to focus. 70-300 all the way out at 300 millimeters. Let's see if we can actually shoot some stuff. Yeah, you'll notice that's just super fast. Very, very fast in center point autofocus. Very, very quick to pick up things. Oh yeah, by the way, this is the digital display on the 70-300, and I actually quite like it. If you twist the focus ring right here, if it's in actual manual focus, you'll notice that the digital display changes, and some more premium lenses have physical dials and buttons like that. Not buttons, that wouldn't make sense, but you can change the mode. And you got focal length now, which is kind of pointless because you have it right here. But then you got, I think this is stabilization, which you can see if it's using stabilization. I'm never going to touch that. But this is nice because this focus ring doesn't have anything going on. So if you want to figure out your focus, it's kind of cool. So if you need something that's going to focus and hit your target exactly the right time, every time, very, very quickly, yeah, go for the 70-300. But if you can be a little patient, and money is something to consider, just 75 to 300. It's fine. It's significantly louder than the 70 to 300, but it's not bad. So I guess which lens to get is going to depend on what you're going to be using it for. I just used the $99 75 to 300 for sports photography, and it got some pretty awesome shots. I was more than happy with the shots that I did get with it. So if you're in a sports situation and you can spend the extra money, definitely go for the 70 to 300. But if you are on a tight budget, or you're not primarily shooting something that's going to be quick to enter the frame, or you don't need to instantly focus on things, or you just want a fun lens to play around with and just enjoy the focal length, 75, it's fine. It's not bad. For more rapid action, you might miss a couple shots here and there, but it does seem to work pretty well. So I guess the big question, what am I gonna do? I have these two lenses and I need to make a choice. Am I gonna keep the 75 or the 70 to 300 f4 to 5.6? I don't know. Hey, cat, stop. You're not helping. I'm honestly having a difficult time deciding. I love the speed of focusing of the 70 to 300, but I prefer the price point of the 75. And Kat, hello, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for moving the microphone. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's going to be a toss-up at this point. I'm probably going to play with them for a bit longer, but for $400, is this one worth it? You can get some fantastic images from the 75, and I'm not disappointed. Ultimately, they're both great lenses, and I think whatever you buy, you're not going to be completely disappointed. If I were just to keep this lens, I'd be perfectly fine. I can make it work. Because you got to remember, it's not ultimately about the gear. It's not about this versus this. It's about the person behind the camera. It's about your ability to utilize what you have in the most appropriate and most effective manner. So do what you can with what you have. If you only have a $99 lens and you need to do some amazing portraiture, or you need to do some landscapes or whatever, make it work. I'm going to be testing these lenses a little bit more after this video. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And if you'd like me to review a specific lens, let me know. Ideally not something stupid expensive unless you want to send it to me. But I'm running Canon now, so I'm trying so many different lenses with the Comlight adapter, and it's working very, very well. I'm having a lot of fun using different glass. Also, thanks to Amanda for facilitating the interview and portrait shoot with Jake. Much appreciated, can't thank you enough. If you'd like to take a look at the video slideshow I had to make for the class, there's a link to my unlisted video in the comments. If you had some fun today, like the video and consider subscribing if you feel like it. And if you have any suggestions for what I should do next, what kind of lens I should review, maybe some other gear, let me know. So now I'll leave you with a bunch of images that I took from this event. Okay, bye.